Well, many farmers work to keep the farm in the family from generation to generation. However, estate planning and business succession can often be a complicated process, with the most difficult aspect simply being getting started. Roger McEowen with the Washburn University School of Law joins us now for today's Rural Money segment. Thanks for joining us, Roger. Now, how has farm business succession planning changed in recent years?
Well, good to be with you, Tammy. It has changed dramatically in recent years, particularly because of the increase in the exemption equivalent of the unified credit for federal estate and gift tax purposes, which is sitting at $11.18 million per decedent or for gifts that are made during the lifetime of the individual, and that's going to adjust even further upward for deaths and gifts next year. So for most people, the landscape has changed in a fashion that tax is not really an issue, and so the focus is on, for those people that have another generation to take over the farming or ranching operation, the focus really is on how we transition those assets to that next generation, and less of a focus on saving estate tax, because that just simply won't apply to very many people.
Right. Now, does estate or succession planning need to be modified if it has been in existence for a while?
Well, certainly it has, because of the change in the law just by itself. A lot of estate plans and business plans were created prior to this dramatic increase in the exemption equivalent of that unified credit. That always is going to require re-examination of existing documents to see if the language inside those documents still comports with existing law. And that's probably the first focus that I would suggest for people. Just because of the way the law has changed, you might want to take a look at those documents.
Now, how can a buyout agreement facilitate business succession?
Well, for family businesses involving various types of entities, some sort of shareholder buyout agreement, I think, is a practical necessity. They can be very important to assuring a smooth transition of the business from one generation to the next. We typically fund those with life insurance to make them operational, and there are various types of buyout agreements that we can have. But it's a very useful document to assist in transitioning that business into the next generation and assisting in balancing out inheritances amongst the heirs by making sure that the heirs interested in running the family business end up with control of the business, and the other heirs end up with non-control interest. That's very critical.
Right. Now, is gifting business interests a good idea?
Well, for most people, probably not, because that exemption level of the credit is so high. Most people don't have to worry about having property taxed in their estate for federal estate tax purposes at death. And so usually what we want to do is cause that property value now to be taxed in the estate, covered by exemption, passed to the next generation tax-free, although we do have to keep in mind that some states still tax transfers at death, and we have to be careful if we're in one of those states.
Sure do. I tell you what, it's a complicated situation. Thank you for simplifying it for us. Roger McEowen with Washburn University School of Law.